Am I the a-hole for rolling my eyes at my boyfriend's proposal? Well, it can't be worse than mine. And saying that you have to take a What's happening? I have to do. This story came December 17th, 2023. Yesterday after dinner, my 52 female boyfriend of 30 years, 53 male, proposed to me. He just walked towards me holding a box and said to open it. It was a ring, and I had pictured this moment a million different times, but never thought that I would be so apathetic. My boyfriend then said that he was retired now and wants to kick back and enjoy life with me and would love to do it all with me as his wife. A nice speech and all, but from the 5-year mark of our relationship onwards, I had been making clear my deep desire to marry and was consistently dismissed, given empty promises, and gaslit. For 25 years? Girl, at what point do we take some accountability? You know? If he wanted different things, that's a long time to stick around. We had been through the whole thing with therapy, and one counselor implied that me telling him we needed to go to therapy and getting his butt on the couch still means nothing if his mind has been made up. I was in denial about the fact that he was just giving me the false illusion of progress to stall. My boyfriend and I have 4 kids. The oldest 3 are adults, while the youngest is 15 female. All of our kids went to a private school filled with typical Southern soccer parents. I had to endure PTA mom's jabs about me not sharing a last name with my kids. Right. 4 kids out of wedlock. That's interesting. I'm only saying that's interesting because you really wanted to be married. I know that some people out there never actually technically get married and they have kids, but you wanted to be a wife. Preteen years were hell because the other kids would taunt my kids by saying, your dad would rather sin and go to hell than marry your mom. My boyfriend's mom would tell him marriage would be selfish on my part and that it is just a piece of paper. My boyfriend ended up rising up the ranks until he became an executive. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I felt like there was always a power imbalance, exasperated by the fact that I could be tossed away at any time. I stayed partly because I wanted my kids to have the best life and because I felt lucky and proud to be partnered with such a intelligent, successful man, but also because I loved him. These past few years, my boyfriend's career has taken a downturn. He will never be poor, but the company he was a part of took a nosedive during 2020, and he had made enemies out of associates and board members. He decided to step back from his role and take the generous severance agreed upon. Now he is living off of his investments and wants to relax. I did not like how his career ended and how he treated people and had been deciding whether I wanted to leave and find somebody else after our youngest turned 18. So the proposal was a shock because I should hope that he noticed I have avoided conversations about the future as of late. He rambles on about downsizing our house so we can travel and also cutting back on other expenses, but we're not married, so it's all his money and his house anyway. He noticed my eye roll and he was offended. He asked what's wrong, and I said that suddenly, now that he's downsizing, I'm good enough to marry. He got mad and said that now that he's downsizing and no longer an executive, I suddenly think our relationship is disrespectful, and started implying that I am a gold digger. I was so angry I walked out and said I might just go out looking for a respectful relationship because I don't know what respect is anymore. Am I the a-hole? I mean, I feel like there's a lot to say here other than the proposal, if I'm being honest, but you know who has a lot to say? The people of Reddit. We are running to the Reddit comments right now. Someone said, you are the a-hole. Why did you beg for 25 years instead of proposing yourself after 1 year? He said that if I tried to strong arm him into marriage, whether that be by changing my last name after our kids were born or any proposal stunts, he would be tempted to rethink this relationship. Now, see, that's enough for me. Like, all of this is a big enough red flag along the way for me to take a step back and say, well, you know what? We're on different pages and we want different things in life. So maybe we're just meant to be on different paths. Bye-bye. Next comment. If you were begging for him to propose, why did you stay for 25 years? That's a long time. She said because I was a stay-at-home mom of many kids and he was this big executive, so I felt if I offended him in any way, he would use his influence to screw me in a custody battle or otherwise make my life miserable. Understandable points. Next comment. He called you a gold digger? You've been with him for a quarter century without ownership in anything and he called you a gold digger? Him for not committing to you but having 4 kids with you, and for you staying with him and having 4 kids with him? Marry him at least so you get equity in your home. He should have put your name on the deed. I mean, to walk away now would really be like, I waited 25 years for this moment and I'm gonna walk away.
This is all a moot point.
She responded to that and said yes, because if I was a gold digger, I would have smiled and said yes with intent to divorce him. Instead, I said no, but he's just mad about my eye roll. If I had a nickel for every time I have rolled my eyes, oof, I would be Elon Musk, the first trillionaire in the world. Right? Trillionaire? Is he a trillionaire now or was it a billionaire? I think it's trillionaire. Whew. Can he not just like solve all of world hunger with that?
Yes, absolutely.
You guys ever think of that? Like $1 trillion. That's infinite. I don't even know what kind of how do you comprehend that? Couldn't we just, you guys pass it out around the whole world, solve world hunger everywhere? Anyways, here are my thoughts that I think of when I'm trying to sleep at night. All right, so we have an update. At the time of my original post, my boyfriend and I had not spoken since the engagement fight. I've been with him long enough to know that when he goes and closes the bedroom door before I get in, that's a signal that I should sleep in one of the guest rooms, so I did that. However, this morning I broke the ice. I told him about how dismissed I felt over the years. I also said that we are both in our 50s, and these past few years have taught us that people at work who kiss the ground you walk on one day can easily turn on you the next. And true partners in life are valuable and hard to find, so I wished that he would treat me like I'm valued. Instead, he treats me like he thinks prettier, better, and just as loving is always around the corner. I apologized for my eye roll, but I told him that if he wants marriage, I want a quick, committed timeline and genuine happiness from him to be marrying me. I don't need a big party. He listened to me and finally asked if this was about the money and security. He told me that being an executive's girlfriend required things from me, but if I wanted to work, I could have. He said he doesn't think I'm grateful enough for the position in society that I was in due to his career, but that he's not mad about the eye roll. He said he didn't succeed by being that sensitive. He went on to say that I was not his prisoner, so I can leave anytime, but to remember that he won't tolerate being made my prisoner either via manipulation. I just have so many red flags going off in my head. Like, wow, what a romantic proposal all of this is. He said that for what it's worth, the engagement ring is mine and I could do whatever I wanted with it. He will also not be accused of not providing for his daughter, so be assured he won't skip child support. But he felt that what I said before was emotional blackmail, so he no longer wants to go forward with marrying me, but says if I would like to travel with him, that's fine. Wait, so now the offer's not even on the table. Him traveling is non-negotiable, and so if I wanted to get a job, it would have to be a remote job. It was a sad conversation, and I spent hours alone after that. I felt I had nothing to lose, so I just asked him if he would support me getting an associate's, but that most associates for technical careers were in person. He then dropped the bombshell that if I wasn't traveling with him, he wasn't going to go those periods without sex. I can hardly breathe because I'm being buried in red flags at this point. I was astounded by his callousness because he's back to take it or leave it. We fought again with me saying we're all feeling the effects of age. I have supported him through health issues, and if he thinks that he can just find somebody who has that loyalty that I've shown him, he's wrong. At this point, I'm looking for ways out. I can't say I haven't been tempted to say that I'll travel with him and try to get a remote job, but also realize how resentful I am that he continues to need to have the power in the relationship. I don't think I'll ever truly know my value, truly, but something tells me there has to be better out there, at least in a partner. Edit. I have decided to start sending in applications for work from home jobs, such as a social media manager, operations assistant, and bookkeeper as soon as I get a resume together. I have downloaded templates online and I'm looking into displaced homemaker programs. There are some resume tip websites that are saying they have helped homemakers land 60K jobs, and I'm going to work hard on my resume. I hope that when they see my earnestness in the interview, they would be moved to take a chance on me instead of saying that a white-collar job is too much for me to ask for when I'm willing to work hard. I feel that after running a household, that these operations and administration jobs, as well as social media management jobs, since I've done the photography for my family and friends, would be within my scope of experience. I apologize if that offended anyone. What I was trying to say is that I want to be able to rent a studio or one bedroom in a semi-safe neighborhood. I have heard that new grads are able to make 40 to 50K a year, semi-remote in business administration or marketing, and then hit around 70 to 80K in around 5 years. I hope that if I show my intent to get a certification in those fields, that employers would give me this opportunity for me to rise up the ranks. I just need somebody to take a chance on me and let me prove that I am a hard worker. I am not above applying to the big box retailers and such, but the people who work there seem to all be teens or else adults with dubious criminal pasts. So for the sake of my safety, as well as the promotion opportunities available with desk jobs, I would like to explore all options. I will not sell the ring as of right now out of respect for my partner. However, if he shows me any more displays of disrespect, I will sell the ring. I will, however, do everything I can to prevent myself from falling into poverty, and if that means seeing a lawyer, I will do so. But in my opinion, new grads don't have that much more experience and much less invested in a job, so I feel I'd be a more reliable hire. Interesting perspective. So is your husband traveling and cheating on you? Is that what's been decided here? Because he said, if you're not traveling with him, that he will not go without sex. And he does not have to find another wife or girlfriend to do that. So is he going off to do that? We have more updates, so I guess we will find out. But first, I'm taking a sip of water. You should too. But let me know what's in your cup. Hope you're having a great day out there. Cheers. You guys, I have to whisper. Look at Lila sleeping on my computer. This girl will literally sleep anywhere. Oh, so sorry. Next update. It's been over a month since I last posted and my life has changed drastically. Okay, fingers crossed that it's for the better. I really wish this update could have been positive. Oh no, but I'm not doing well. But what remains is hope. Hope in the kindness of others, my grown kids, employers, courts, even my kid's father. Hope in the value of love that I've given so freely to my kid's dad, because I was raised to believe even those who don't appreciate the love I've given them will eventually self-actualize and pay it back. Here's what has happened since. Since my kid's dad accused me of trying to keep him an emotional prisoner, I tried to show him that I valued his freedom. I gave him his space and I showed that I could live life without trapping him. I started doing that right after our last discussion. His reaction was anger. After our talk, he started glaring and picking fights over everything. The speed at which I did housework, my spending within his allowance, and cut it to nearly zero. He asked for the ring back during one of our arguments. I took all the comments in my post to heart, in particular, the advice telling me that if badgered, I should refuse to leave the house. Just a few days after our conversation about the engagement, he picked a fight and accused me of ignoring him. He said that he wanted me out of the house. I said no, that I deserved to be there. He responded by having a lawyer send me a notice telling me to vacate that day. It happened so quickly that I was too shocked to react. My kids were torn between dad's bluffing and trying to leave, but now he's filed to evict. It's up to the courts now. I tried looking for legal aid, but the person I talked to was cold and implied that my status as a mom and partner will not protect me from eviction. Is that not like a common law thing? You know, after so many years when you're common law, you do have rights to some stuff. I don't know how it works. That's why I'm asking. I've tried sending out applications for office jobs, but I was told by my friends to be kind to myself because if one rejection comes, something better will come along. My adult kids suggested I apply for SNAP food stamps, and I haven't out of shame. They said if I do, and dad and I no longer live together, the government will help me collect child support. My grown kids said that they can't risk upsetting dad. My oldest told me a gas station was hiring night shift and he would try to help once he graduated. Just when I decided to be grateful for the job, they rejected me after an interview where I felt that I spoke well. That hurt. But I keep having hope because every day there are new remote and non-remote jobs posted saying that they will train the right candidate. I am applying to every corporation, it seems, with hope that one of them will take a chance on me, give me an interview that I will ace, see me for somebody who is just pulling herself up. I know my boyfriend wants me to beg, but I don't know if that would make him drop the suit. I just don't know anymore. I'm in the corner of my house just trying to keep things normal and applying like it is a job. This is crazy. This took a turn that I was not expecting, and here I was thinking he's off to go travel and just cheat on you. Like, please don't evict me. You're going off and traveling. Let me stay in this empty house with our daughter. I'm laughing, but the situation is sad. We have another update, and it came a month and a half later. The unexpected happened. A judge is letting my ex-boyfriend evict me. A judge who is supposed to uphold the laws of fairness, morality, and for years I assumed kindness, found in favor of my ex-boyfriend. My head is spinning. I have not found a job yet, and I did everything right. I applied to hundreds upon hundreds of marketing jobs online. I have gotten 3 responses, but those responses ask me to download communication apps to do the interview, and their instructions are so hard to understand. I don't do well with non-concrete directions, so I got too aggravated to respond. However, at this point, I'm desperate enough to interview even there. I have taken the advice to apply to non-marketing jobs as well. My older daughter wrote me a resume for an office assistant job for a church that only offered 8 to 10 hours a week at $2 over minimum wage. I got called for an interview, and the pastor of all people seemed disappointed after seeing me and greeted me with a different tone than he greeted the next applicant who came in, which was a woman in her 20s. Horrible behavior from a mid-30s man. He even called me ma'am in this apprehensive tone. I did not get the job, but I feel bad for whoever does. I only have a few days before a sheriff arrives. I called my kids for help. My legal aid attorney predicted I would only get visitation until I have a stable place, and child support would likely be enough to only partially pay for motel living, so I needed to quickly get a job. How can the world treat a mom like this? My adult kids arranged to meet me and told me there's a reason even their grandma called my ex an alley cat. They offered to sneak food from dining halls when I went to visit and lend me clothes for interviews. Oh my gosh, why does that immediately make me so sad? Oh, that's like triggering. I don't know why. But said that their dad laid down the law with regards to sending money and they will not be sending me any money. And that when they get jobs of their own, they will also be prioritizing their own savings and I should not expect any money. And that it's not my fault, but at some point the shows of fickle affection they've seen during their childhood where they faced bullying and watched people like me who are kind be scorned, jaded them. And in all the instability, accomplishments and money were the only constants, and that has made them emotionally apathetic. But that it's hard to fix because it goes hand in hand with the overactive sense of self-preservation that they've acquired. They blame it on watching how self-preservation got their dad far and the lack of it crushed others. I was able to sell the few things that my ex did not bother to claw away from me. I have enough to book a room at a motel for about a week, and then I don't know. I asked my newly 16-year-old if she wanted to stay with me if I got a motel room. She started crying and begging her dad to let me stay. I will fight for custody with every ounce of strength that I have, but I'm guessing her siblings are telling her to enlist self-preservation and stay with her dad. I understand, I do, but she still needs her mom. I'm in contact with a shelter. Hopefully I can find somebody who will fight for me to get housing, but I don't know what my future holds. Ugh, that must be terrifying. That must be absolutely terrifying. Here I was thinking all this story was about rolling your eyes at a proposal, and now you might end up homeless. Is common law not a thing? Someone explain that to me. How does that work? We do have a final update. I'm truly hoping that there is some kind of positive update here. I want to apologize to everybody I have offended with my third update. It's not my intention to look down on anybody, but I wish there was more understanding about how I had absolutely nobody to talk to. Nobody who responded to anything I had to say in my life. Nobody to say when I cried, pleaded, and explained. What was offensive? Did I miss something? Oh, was it about okay, maybe certain things she said about the applicants and the grads and the jobs. Okay, I do remember some comments. All right. But I understand. It's over now. All I have ever known. I have left my ex's house. I left a day before the sheriff was supposed to come. I could not stand my ex's taunts anymore. Saying goodbye to my daughter nearly broke me, but I am committed to finding a way to see her regularly. I spent 2 nights in a motel. I took advice about using the library as a safe place to apply for jobs during the day. I also paid some money to an online resume service where they said they had expertise in making homemakers' resumes employable. I also applied to retail jobs and I heard back from one. I have an interview soon, but I'm scared because it only pays 50 cents above minimum wage, and just the cost of motels scares me. I'm in the process of applying for SNAP. From my years in my formal social circle, a lot of the wives were on boards for food banks and such. I know my money from selling the few things my ex didn't snatch away could have been stretched better, but the stress of leaving my daughter there made me buy comfort food and, I admit, also a drink to calm my nerves. My friends from that circle were mostly not communicating with me, but when it was known that I was about to be homeless, suddenly they seemed to have renewed interest in me all at once, but not in the way of me getting any sort of assistance or emotional support. I asked one of the women about the food bank she used to host fundraisers for and the availability. She replied back with the availability. I went there, but I was humiliated that me telling her when I was going to go resulted in her and 3 others from that circle being around, claiming to be volunteering when they only hosted fundraisers and they have never volunteered on site. When I arrived and making a show out of it by asking a lot of probing questions. Yet they started going on about party things, complaining about upcoming trips they knew I could now not be a part of. I left so upset and I will never go back. I have just spent my second night in a shelter after needing to save the little I have left. I know I will be torn to pieces for saying this, but it was hard to be grateful to be there due to the pests, lack of cleanliness of others in the shelter, going to sleep with somebody next to me crying, and somebody throwing up. I can only maintain hope that eventually things will look up, that I won't continue to be punished with grief and fear for wanting better. I hope I get the job I'm interviewing for. I shake at the thought of going back to the shelter again. They make us leave at a certain morning time. I am not this do-nothing leech. I just made the mistake of loving a man and hoping that he would value that. Oh, I guess that's the biggest risk when you are a stay-at-home mom and you're fully getting supported financially by your partner and without the legalities of being married and all that. What a risk you are taking, because if anything went wrong, what do you have? There's no update after that. Ma'am, are you okay? I was really hoping for a positive update by the end of this. Well, let me know your thoughts, you guys. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.